and welcome to FilmPeaks, where we investigate where films and TV shows peak or valley. Today we look into the future and see why AI is bad as well as short-form content. Yes, today the film in question is Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. We follow a man from the future in his quest to prevent a malevolent AI from basically wiping out most of humanity and creating a very depressing and bleak future. So I have a day job. I can't do this YouTube stuff full time, but I felt this film in particular was kind of relatable these days because I do on a daily basis deal with AI. It seems like every day there's a new major tech company coming out with a new tool where supposedly it's going to take our jobs in the next 6 months. And we're in about year 3 of that, but every day it's inching a little closer. Like, name a major tech company right now that is not actively pushing AI. Aside from that, I do notice how much people are on their phones scrolling and whatnot. I find myself catching myself scrolling too much sometimes. It is very easy to get addicted to that. So there has to be some connection here with the film's writer and director, Gore Verbinski. Now, he has quite a variety under his tool belt here. The Pirates of the Caribbean, come on, that's one of the best scores in a film from Hans Zimmer that you can even name. However, I did not care for The Cure for Wellness, and unfortunately, he also did Lone Ranger. So he's got some hits and some misses. So I think it's a valid peak analysis here. And aside from movies, he also did some commercials. He did the Budweiser Frog commercial, and he did some music videos for some really great bands such as NoFX and Bad Religion. So he's down to get down. The cast is pretty stacked. We have Sam Rockwell here as the main character. There's no way you haven't seen him in something at this point. He has been absolutely killing it for years. Same with Juno Temple, although it is interesting to see her in a role with an American accent. But I kind of associate her with Ted Lasso at this point. Michael Pena is kind of typecast as being this comedic relief character at this point, but there is a reason that he keeps getting hired for this role. And Zazie Beetz, she's really been great in whatever I've seen her in, which is quite a variety too. And then we have Haley Lou Richardson. She's been in a decent number of things. I don't know if anything has come quite to the popularity of White Lotus Season 2, though. If you've seen the trailer or anything, you'll know that essentially Sam Rockwell has to gather a party to help try to save the world. And you've probably seen there's a handful of people in this party. And I think they did a good job at making each one unique. Like, I can kind of remember specific details about each person after the movie. So that's a kudos on the writing for that one. As the movie progresses, we do get to see into the backstory of some of these party members. And I was a little wary of the runtime at first. I think it's something like 2 hours, 15, maybe 20 minutes, something like that. But I think seeing into these backstories of the party members did enhance the film's experience. And there are only a few definitive scenes that I think would cause this movie to be rated R, aside from the F-bombs and stuff like that. But I think Gore had to have said, these scenes need to be in this movie. This is my movie. We're going to add them. And if you watch the film, you'll see what I mean. But I think they should have leaned into that more since it was rated R at this point. Like, some of the action is very comparable to something like Shaun of the Dead, where they're like bunking people. And they did show some gorish scenes earlier in the movie, so I don't know why you couldn't continue that throughout. So it's kind of like a little bit of a tonal shift there. The time travel aspect of the movie is very need-to-know basis. You are explained the absolute bare minimum amount of details that you really need to know about the time travel. But that's not really the focus of the movie, so I think that's okay in this case. And, you don't really see too many time loop movies these days. I think the last legitimately good one that I can think of off the top of my head is Palm Springs. And, it's this one's a little bit different in that case because you're not seeing like tons and tons of loops like you would in other movies. And I'm okay with that. And Gore Verbinski kind of brings in some elements of current events into this movie that you're either going to be okay with or you will be offended. But either way, I think it is some pretty effective satire here. I'll talk about that in the riff section. Speaking of which, I'm still keeping this spoiler free, and I'll add the riff section in the end to show my score and go over some thoughts. All right, back to this. So I also wonder how much Cholula paid to be a sponsor for this movie. Those bastards are lucky that that's already my hot sauce of choice. If you see the film, you'll see what I mean. But there are also some Black Mirror references here, I think, as well. There's the cookies housing people's consciousness when they died, the clone of the dead husband episode where they keep him up in the attic, the Rashida Jones episode where she kind of rents out her brain and then they start inserting ads where she'll say ads out loud every once in a while. So those references, along with the Simon Stalenhag headsets from the Electric State, kind of come together in a nice little cocktail mix. And the situation, you see some teachers throughout the film, and they keep saying that teachers are going on sabbatical. I thought those scenes were pretty hilarious. And really most of the school setting scenes I really enjoyed. It definitely ramps up the wackiness in the film, at least in the later half. And there's even some scenes that really reminded me of Robin Williams' Toys as well as Puppet Master put together. And if I were to say there were any unnecessary scenes in the film, it would probably be that, because there wasn't really any payoff for it. So as mentioned, it is a time loop movie, so there are certain endings that you would expect. And I think because this is more of a AI is bad movie, you have to end it a certain way. And I think I was okay with it. There was a minute where I thought it was going to end a certain way, and I actually would have been a little bit pissed off if they did end it that way. So I'm glad they did. And kind of throughout the film, there is this thought of AI being able to create a reality that is more desirable than being in real life. And I just think that thought is really intriguing based on what you see today, where people really do get addicted to, certain video games and just being online in general. However, there is one small plot hole that I could just not help but fixate on once it happened, but I'll go over that in the riff section. Speaking of which, I think we're just about there. So if this is your jumping off point, thank you for making it this far. If you want to leave your own review, check out the FilmPeaks app. It's on iOS, it's on Android, it's free. However, I don't have it released to the entire world right now. It's just in the US. I'll get there eventually. I want to add a couple more major features to that. But anyways, thank you. We're going to keep moving. We're going to get into the riff section. Thank you. All right, we've made it to the riff section. I'm about to show my score up here in a second, so this is your last chance to avoid spoilers. Here we go. All right, so good luck, have fun, don't die. I think it is one of Gore Verbinski's better films. The opening scene I really enjoyed. It was interesting to see the dynamic of each of the characters in the diner. The one lady just wants her pie. The troubled couple kind of moves their hands away once the guy tries to touch his girlfriend's hand, and they kind of pull apart. And the troubled young woman in the princess suit is clearly going through something. And for how big the movie is, they don't really cover that much ground. We get to see the map that Sam Rockwell has drawn, and it seems like they're really only going over, a few blocks, but they cover a lot of ground in the background scenes whenever we get all the backstories. The whole school shooting scenes, I think, were really effective in that element of satire where people are just used to them happening all the time. They've lost kids multiple times to school shootings. So, given today's atmosphere, I think that was kind of on point. The students in the school in general, I thought were hilarious. I think that is even relevant today where teachers aren't really in control anymore and the students kind of hold the power. So you don't really want to piss them off. And whenever they kept bringing the tie back to just touching the student's phone, causing all these events. I was laughing at that. But then as we progress, we get closer to the AI boy's house. Things really did get a little unhinged there. We had the cat dinosaur, the plague of rats, and then later on the centaur scene towards the end. But because the movie is more focused on like AI is bad, I think there's more focus on that rather than other elements. And I do have some questions. Who paid the two hitmen the 50K? Maybe I missed that. Was it the AI? Were they clones? I wasn't really sure on that one. And I didn't really fully understand Juno Temple's dead son's involvement in all of that. He was kind of giving her directions through everything, but how did he know everything at that point? Most importantly, and this is what I was mentioning earlier about a plot hole that I just couldn't help but fixate on, it was shown that Sam Rockwell knows what's in each and every person's pockets. Like he counted that guy's change to be like 47 cents or something. But whenever they take out the EMP gizmo guns, it was as if it was the first time that he had seen those. So why was he surprised to see that after 117 previous trips? So because those already exist, I feel like that would probably be a better avenue to explore rather than trying to get his mom's allergy to Wi-Fi and technology into every other person on the planet. So I think they probably could have leaned into maybe just trying to EMP all the AI stuff first. But anyway, it's not my movie. I didn't write it. That's just my thought. But once we do get to the end, at first it was kind of like, oh, none of this mattered. He's going to go back again and just redo the loop. I did like the change up rather than just trying again. They failed. That he was going to go on that different route of trying to get his mom's allergy to transplant into everybody else, essentially. So because it was a little bit left open there of like, how's he going to do this? But there's still a spark of hope for humanity. It did leave me thinking, and I think that was the point of the movie. So because of that, I was okay with it. But what do you think? Is this an effective AI is bad movie? Did you want more time looping? Were you okay with the portrayal of school shootings and the teacher versus student dynamic? Let us know in the FilmPeaks app. Again, it's free. It's on iOS. It's on Android. Let me know what you think. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at the top.